All right. First of all, I think we should give another round of applause to our amazing panelists. Thank you guys for taking our time to be here with us today. All right, so we're just going to dive right into it. Now, we're talking Gen Z slash millennial hacks, managing wealth in today's digital era. Now, I think this is a very interesting conversation, particularly because I know there are Gen Zs here, as well as millennials who are, looking to manage wealth. I also would say that one of the most consistent conversations in today's world is, usually around money, whether it's around about making it or managing it. So I think it's something that will be very, very interesting to a lot of us here. Now I'm going to start with let me choose. Okay, I think I'm going to start with peace. All right, peace. So you are building a very successful career. You've worked in tech, marketing, events, right? Obviously, you've made you know your own share of the money in the industry. So I don't know if you remember, but while we were growing up, we used to have this very major milestone of looking forward to making our first 1 million naira, right? I can remember very well how my friends, while we were still kids, would think of how exactly we would spend that first 1 million naira. So, Peace, you've made your first 1 million naira. How did you spend it? And the second part of that question is, if you could say go back in time and do an entire do-over, what do you think you do differently regarding spending that first million naira?
All right. Hi, everyone. I think it's very bold of you to assume that I've made my first
No, 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 no,
million.
no. Please don't do that.
But yeah, thinking about that question, right? I don't remember making a first million, but I know that I did save towards having 1 million naira in my account. I know that I was monitoring my phone checking, it was 950, 960, 990, and then it got to 1 point something something, and I was like, yes, I've hit it. And then I withdrew because I had to, make some payments, right? But that feeling of seeing 1 million naira in my account was it was very, I felt very ecstatic, right? And then I mean, I don't now remember when I made 1 million as a lump sum. Like it just happened and kept happening, thank God. But yeah, but out of that first savings of 1 million, I think that the first big girl purchase that I made after rent was traveling out of the country for the first time. So at the time, I was able to go to Zanzibar with just 600K, all the expenses, flights, accommodation, feeding, everything, 600K. I mean, the economy is in shambles right now,
I
but
agree, I agree.
I was able to like take some part of that money in bits and, funded my trip out of my first trip out of the country. So yeah, do I want to? I don't think I want to do a do-over because I think that I've been very disciplined with saving and spending. So I've been very diligent with that. So I saved towards it. So I felt like I earned that holiday that I saved towards, and I don't think I would want to change that or have it over.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. I think that's a very wise investment you made earlier then. And yes, oh my God, those times when we could use 600K, but God will help us. So, Presley, I think you'll find this particular question interesting, right? Now, there's no doubt that we make very good amount of money in this generation, especially because of digital means here and there. But as much as we make, we also spend, obviously with different kinds of quote and unquote distractions to make us want to spend. You turn to your left, there's a new product to buy into. Turn to your right, there's a new item that you'd like to purchase, right? So as much as we make, we also spend that fast. Now, in today's digital era where there are many things that catch our fancy, our attention in terms of wanting to spend, how can Gen Zs particularly, because I think Gen Zs are very notorious for this, right? How can Gen Zs and even millennials be very careful about their spending habits without spending extravagantly? And also, if you have maybe personal experiences you want to share, you can probably share with us, as well as tips.
Yeah, thank you. That's such a very heavy question. And I think that, first of all, I mean, there would always be the option of going back to your village. Um, I
I
don't,
agree.
yeah, going back to your village, turning off your phone, restrict access to everything. I mean, I don't know what it would mean for Amanda, for example, but for me, I'll go back to Ifelodo in Kwara State. Um, but like you said, literally living in this generation, living where you work, or at least close to where you work, close to friends, close to partners, a lot of the time you tend to spend more than you earn, and the spending is quite heavy, for lack of a better term. I do think that one of the ways to even navigate that entire scenario, as simple as it sounds, right, Oche, for me, it would be two major things. And these two major things are what I would say have helped me in just figuring this entire thing out. By the way, I don't know that anybody ever figures it out completely. We're all still figuring it out. At least I am. It would be write stuff down and find people that have more knowledge of these things than you do. um, a couple of years ago, I met a friend. Jennifer and I are still very good friends. She's currently in Ghana, but from conversations with her, I knew from the jump that she's easily one of the few friends I had that knew a lot about just finance and money, just figuring out all of that stuff. And she and I made a bet at the time. Very funny thing that we did, but it taught me a very important life lesson. So she and I promised ourselves that what we would do is we would save a ridiculous amount of money together, and then we'll spend it all in one day, right? And in that year, that's what we did. January to December, we would save small amounts together, and then in December, we spent all of that money in one day. Now, I'm not saying to save all your money and spend it in one day. No, the lesson there is we had a small goal, right? There was that accountability because she and I spoke about it, and then we started to become intentional about putting money together. If I am being honest, that's easily the one time I set a significant goal and I achieved it by myself because I had this other person. So if I were to speak to just a financial hack that I think that everybody can leverage in this day and time, minus all of the distractions that's going on around, I'd say write it down as much as you can, but more importantly, find somebody that you genuinely trust, somebody that has more knowledge about this thing than you, and just see how much benefit both of you can be to each other. I do think that it's something that we could do.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much, Presley. I think with that advice, we won't have to go back to our village, hopefully. All right, so hi Amanda. Amanda, you are a very major influencer and entrepreneur. I'm sure we've all seen Amanda on top billboards across town, right? Now, one of the major things that Gen Zs and millennials have come to bank on today is side hustles, particularly because you know how the white collar jobs are not collaring anymore. We have to find other ways to monetize to build some sort of financial stability. But I can remember vividly that one of the major fear my mom had when I was trying to pivot into what I'm doing now is instability, right? I mean, obviously with your regular day-to-day government jobs, you know that at the end of the month salary is coming whether you go to the office or not, salary is coming. So there was a bit of that stability. But with side hustles, we don't exactly, I mean, that's a concern that our parents always had. And that's why they weren't exactly welcoming of the idea of, side hustles. But you have been able to dabble with different side hustles here and there and build something really substantial. Now, for the Gen Zs and millennials seated in the room today, how do you think they can, maximize investment products that help them to build wealth so that they can have some sort of stability rather than just depending on paycheck to paycheck?
Mm.
Okay, thank you for that. I think that we're very lucky where we're at in 2025, this generation. We have so many tools, so many automated tools, so many apps that can help with this. Credit Direct being one of them, obviously. And it's so nice that you were talking about how you had to, write it down and collaborate with your friend, but you actually have the apps that would deduct from you. So what I would say is, first of all, start. Start with something that can save a little. It could be 5,000 naira, it could be 2,500, but just know that every day 2005 or 5,000 naira is leaving my account and is going somewhere that is going to grow, somewhere that it can be invested. That helps you even if you are not a saver, or if you don't have the habit of saving, to make sure that there's always something for a rainy day. That's one thing. Like you said, when you think about doing media as a side hustle, that's exactly what's going to be. It's actually can be a full-time hustle. You can actually know how to monetize. A lot of people do content and they make it look like play, make it look like you just stumbled on it, which also happens. But at some point, you have to put a structure into it.
Yeah.
So if you're able to actually learn some of the structures behind corporate organizations and put it in there, and it's not just about having rate cards. It could be just like, oh, every day I'm going to post at this time. I'm going to spread this across all my platforms, TikTok, YouTube, the platforms that can monetize. I'm going to spread this across those platforms. I'm going to be intentional about the brand that I'm building so that when people think, oh, I want this person or I want this kind of influencer, they are coming to you. So there are so many ways to be able to help you to not, first of all, make it a side hustle, to make it something that mommy is proud of, but you also have to help yourself because, like you said, instability. So if you have something that is already helping you to automate takeaway from your daily spending, something that you're probably going to use and buy shawarma, So if you're able to keep that for a rainy day, it helps your tummy as well, by the way.
True.
So you're able to actually have some sort of backup. And then now it's beyond saving. So saving is on one end, and then investing is on another end. So how can you invest this money such that it's not just staying as the money that it is? So like he said, talk to people, find out there are so many platforms that are doing this that will help you to actually make sure that your wealth is growing. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Amanda. I think I particularly liked how you mentioned that savings is on one hand, and investment is on the other, because I love that investment just helps to make your money work for you. And to be honest, that's why I love what Credit Direct is doing today with a product like Yield. Giving us the opportunity to be able to invest wisely.
Exactly.
All right. So to the lady who builds products, hi Chisom. So Chisom, you are very reputable for the work you've done in tech, building products across the world. Now, there's no doubt that we experience digital and financially related scams today, right? I mean, that's why there's also a bit of that dragging your legs when you're trying to make some buying decisions online. Many Gen Zs, millennials have fallen victims to some of these scams, right? Now, in today's world where we're experiencing as much as these scams, what exactly do you think we should look out for when we're trying to find digital or financially related platforms like this to subscribe to? What are those things you should look out for to find them trustworthy? Like, for example, what Yield is, Credit Direct is doing with Yield. How can we be able to identify those platforms, or what metrics do you think should we look out for?
Okay. I think with the way things have gotten now, especially with the internet, anybody, like literally just anybody can you can organize app developers in your house or your backyard, and you
True.
guys can create an app, and you can also launch it on Play Store or even the Apple Store. As much as these corporations like Google and Apple, they have their way of checking these things, they still bypass most of those like regulations and all of that. So I think the first practical way I would suggest would be word of mouth. And you notice that it's people that are not usually on social media that get scammed. One, because you might just see like a regular Uber driver, or let me not use Uber driver. You can just see someone regular in the market or someone that you meet on your way to school, and the person is like, "Oh, I downloaded this app, and they said if you invest so and so amount of money, you get 1 million naira back." And you notice that that person is not super active online or super active on social media, and person hasn't seen like the reviews for this application. So first is word of mouth, and also looking out for digital products that have track records. So you're checking their social media accounts, you're checking their reviews on App Store, you're checking do they have a community, do they have a bigger umbrella or a bigger corporation. So that would also help you track how trustworthy these applications are. Another thing I do personally is, visiting the official websites and checking for things like SCE or are these people registered with CBN? Has anybody heard about them? And things like that. So it's very important for you to understand the kind of applications you're downloading, and even before you put some money inside those, building a wallet or opening a bank account with them, make sure that you've done your due diligence to go online to check and also ask questions, check for reviews if they're possibly like scammers, like you mentioned.
Oh, wow, thank you very much, Chisom. So you've heard from Chisom. I mean, before you jump on any of these platforms, make sure to do your own due diligence. It's very important. We don't want any one of us here being a victim of these digital and financially related scams that are very, very prominent today. So please, because you're seated close to me, I'll come back to you again. Now, one major problem that we have today, especially amongst Gen Zs and millennials, us Gen Zs, is savings, right? Now, that would most definitely come from a mindset thing, a mindset default, right? For you, you've been able to dabble in different products here and there that are built around savings culture and investments. So, what steps would you suggest for anyone here, whether Gen Z or millennial, who is trying to build a healthy savings slash investment culture so that they can attain that level of financial stability that we're looking forward to?
All right. So first off, like you said, it's a mindset, right? So it's important to have that mindset shift when it comes to savings. And sometimes when you tell people to save it, it feels like you're punishing them, like you're saving for yourself. So when you have that mindset shift to know that, okay, I am paying myself, right? So people say, oh, when you get your salary, pay yourself first. So that mindset is very important. Or when you make any amount of money, pay yourself first. So it's like you're paying it forward into your future. So it's important for that mindset shift. And then like Amanda had said, there are tools, applications, and all that automates because one of the major blockers people have when it comes to savings is they think that they can do it by themselves. And I'm sorry to disappoint you. There will always be something that will come to eat that money or take that money out of your hand. There will always be a nice bag, a nice shoe somewhere. There will be family emergencies and all of that. It will happen. It's Nigeria, it's Africa, it will happen. But building that discipline and not just relying on yourself that, oh, I can do it, is having a system that works. So automating it pretty much so that before you even think about it, the money is gone into your savings. So that's very important. I think that it's also important to have a goal. What are you saving towards? It's not just, oh, I'm saving for the fun of it, right? I mean, that's great. But one thing that has worked for me is also I'm not an impulsive spender. I mean, there are days where I just see something nice and buy, but generally I'm not. So I have like a two-factor authentication spending system where if I see something, I like it, I just save it first and then I now save towards it. So in between saving the item and saving towards it, I can change my mind. And if it's not an important purchase, I can, make that decision and channel that money into something that is more important. But that process kind of just makes me not spend on unnecessary things. So that's like a system that has worked for me. And lastly, I'll just say start. It's very important. Like, don't overthink it. People think that, oh, when I start making millions, when I get that big job or that big contract, I'll start saving. But the truth is, you have to be diligent with the little that you have, right? So if you're earning 5K, 50K, start. Save 5 naira, save 500 naira, start with something, right? And just watch it build. It's not until you get that big money, because if you're not able to save in the little that you have, I promise you, when the big money comes, you are still going to blow it. So yeah.
So don't blow your big money, please. Yes, please. Go ahead, clap. Clap. Thank you very much. All right, so just riding on the back of that question, right? So Chisom, obviously because of the whole savings habit slash culture, I think it's also or something that might be causing that is also the lack of financial literacy, right? So, I mean, with your experience building platforms, fintech platforms, what exactly would you say are fintech platforms doing to bridge this gap to making wealth management way easier?
Okay. In terms of literacy, I would say, first of all, this kind of event is also a way fintech platforms are improving like financial literacy, and also things like gamified learning, opportunities where you open an application and sometimes you don't even know what to do. Like when they were having the yield demo and the person was kind of like explaining what it means to have interest rates and all of that. Someone like me might not understand what interest rates is, but applications can also go a step further to actually explain these things. Okay, what are interest rates? How does it work? How does my money grow? And all of that. So I think it's also very important for fintech organizations to have webinars to not just conclude that people have common knowledge about all these things, but actually have webinars to engage their community, to understand how they're putting their money, how they're investing their money, and also ways that these things can help you. I remember when I got my first paycheck and I was hearing a lot about stocks, stock markets, ETFs, and all. I don't know anything. I didn't know anything about those things at some point, but doing a lot of research on my own was something that I did to give like that extra effort. But if I had those things with the application I'm using to invest, I know that okay, if I put my money in this ETF, this is what ETF means, and this is how much I can get after like some years or some months. So the literacy part on the application is actually very important. So you don't take your users away from your product.
Okay, thank you very much. So because of our time, we're almost rounding up. I just touch base on with Presley and Amanda. Now, Presley, just as Chisom has mentioned, right? How can Gen Zs and millennials leverage financial literacy or discipline rather to break free from this habit of paycheck to paycheck living so that they can attain a much more stable income?
I think that Peace and Chisom have spoken to it like really brilliantly. There's a lot of discipline that we need to employ. Financial literacy. Talk again about writing stuff down and finding people that can also keep you accountable. And if I may just share another reason why it's really, really important that we do these things in this day and time. I was literally having a conversation with I would say like an older brother or auntie, if you may, last week, and we were just talking about a random conversation, and she talked about how in this day and time, literally everything is expensive. Now I know it's a reality that we all talk about, but there was a way she stressed it, that made me think, okay, it's so good to know that someone in the older generation is stressing this particular thing. And we were essentially talking about housing, and speaking to real estate and getting a home in this day and time. I'm very sure that a lot of people would resonate with what I'm saying. It feels like there really is a lot of things out there that want to take a lot of the money that you make. And because that is already set up, you have to be prudent in the way that you deploy all of these assets. There's a line from a very popular book, I don't remember the author now, that talks about you don't rise to the level of your aspirations, but you fall to the level of your systems. The things that are out there, all of our aspirations, we desire all of these things, but ultimately, let's not pursue them too much and forget the inflow. We have to set up certain things that will become your systems to ensure that at the end of the day, you're not in a place of disadvantage. Quick question, Oche. You would notice that a lot of people, before they realize how much they spend, it's usually by the end of the month, for example, when we download a statement of, accounts. Imagine if you had written everything down from the beginning of the month. There's a high likelihood that you would do a lot more prudent spending. And I do think that it's things that we need to employ going forward.
True, true. That makes a lot of sense. I think it's something that's very practical that I should definitely put into practice more. All right. So just to wrap up, final question before I let my amazing panelists have their seats. Amanda, now one of the products that Credit Direct has officially showcased to us today is the buy now pay later products. That means that you can buy something that you need now. Maybe it's, for example, as a creator, I can purchase tools that I need now and pay later, right? But for some people, that might be tempting. So in the sense that you can obviously just buy stuff just randomly, right?
Splurge.
So how do you think the buy now pay later products can be properly leveraged for much more reasonable buyings than random spending?
I think that starts with personal discipline. Nobody can know what your priorities are but you. And like he said, I really like what he said about writing it down. So if you already know that you don't have enough money to buy in full, that's an indicator that your finances are not where you want it to be. So for instance, if you are a content creator, you're a skit maker, you need a phone, you need a good phone, you need good audio. It's part of the things that it's no longer just a spending, but it's an investment. So if you're getting a phone and you know that through this phone, I create better content, through this better content, I'm able to make more money, then that is a reasonable buy. But that can only be, you know what is a reasonable buy to you. So just because it's a reasonable buy for a content creator to get an iPhone 16 does not mean that it's a reasonable buy for another person to get that iPhone. So you first of all have to know where is the next level, because at the end of the day, it's a great feature, but it can also be, I mean, you have to also know that there's obviously interest rates and there are all the clauses attached to it. So if you're not going to use it as a tool to help you, then you're just going to get yourself into BC.
True.
So the point is that you should be able to have enough money to pay it at set time. But it's, I will give myself as an example. When I first started, I started literally with a basket full of honey and coconut oil. But when I was going for my first loan, I knew what I wanted to use that loan to do. I wanted to actually start up my spa. I was not using it to buy a car or to, whatever it is. And today we have 2 branches. So that was a worthy investment. So when I started off, I took that loan. So I'm going to, it's kind of, it is like a loan, buy now, pay later. So it's like you're just paying ahead. So first of all, what are your priorities? And you have to be honest with yourself. Do you really need this thing, or you just want to show off to everybody that you have it? So once you know that this is your priorities, when you're able to now leverage on it, obviously you also need to know what is, do I need to pay more money for this? And then how can I pay it back? How can I get the bulk sum to pay it back? So I feel like, first of all, the first things first is it's really nice to be able to have this buy now, pay later, because I don't think I've ever used something like that, at least in Nigeria. So it's something that should be for our advantage, not to actually now be a stressor. So use it to your own advantage by, first of all, understanding your priorities, and then making sure that that thing becomes an investment to your life. I don't know if that makes sense.
Of course, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Come on. The audience is clapping for you, obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So with that, we've come to the end of this session. Again, you've heard it all from all of them, and they've just been here to share some really great perspectives on how to manage wealth. And I think it's something that'll be very instrumental to all of us here, who are trying to build our journey towards that level of financial freedom. And again, that's why I love how Credit Direct is showcasing some of these amazing products to us today. My favorites being the buy now, pay later, right? Because obviously I can purchase tools that I need for myself without having to spend all of my hard-earned money at once. So please, you can definitely check out their apps and download cross-board on any of the app stores that you use, so that you can also start your own journey. Thank you very much, guys. Oh yes, please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe on all our platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oche Writes. Thank you so much, Presley. Thank you, Amanda Dara. Thank you, Chisom Nwokwu. We had a really, really good conversation. And of course, to Peace Obinani, thank you for sharing your experience with us. And ladies and gentlemen, that was the Gen Z Millennials panel. Thank you. You see, they must always do things differently. They're already dancing on stage and giving us the Gen Z millennial pose. We totally love it. That's the energy they always bring on board. Always different. Always, always different. Thank you to our moderator, Oche Writes. Thank you to Peace Obinani, Amanda Dara, Presley, Adewale, and Chisom Nwokwu. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, please give them a round of applause as they exit the stage.